So it's kind of a tall order when you think about this and how you want to come up here and share a memory. And there's no way I could gather, the 25 years with Shaina in a couple minutes up here. So I'm not really going to try, but there are a couple stories that come to mind that I'll always remember. First off, when Shaina was a toddler, I'm 5.5 years older than Shaina. She used to kick my ass as a little kid. She would be in her Johnny Jump Up, and as a good older brother, I would be pushing her in her Johnny Jump Up, and she'd be laughing and smiling, and then she'd fly up and just latch onto my hair and start screaming and pulling, and two little fangs for teeth she had. She'd bite me, and so it was a rough start in the beginning. But she was tough, and as we got older, we became such good friends. It was always Shaina and I. And I remember when my mom and dad split us up in rooms. So Shaina had her own room and I had my room. And back when we used to have a house phone, and we had this little code where at nighttime we'd have to go to bed, but I could either knock on the wall or she would knock on the wall. And then we'd pick up the phone, because she had one in her room as well, and just talk to each other until that damn lady would come on and say, you hang up and try your call again. So we'd hang up and then we'd pick up and we'd keep talking to each other. And we always had such a strong relationship. And as her older brother, all I ever wanted was the best for her. And I tried as hard as I could to help however I could. And I kind of, over the last couple months, I've thought about how I would talk to Shaina and I would say, hey, maybe you can, move down to LA or, oh wait, sorry, something just popped in my head. See, you think through these things before and your brain just completely melts on you up here. But the other thing I would do with Shaina, and there might be some older brothers or older siblings who have done this before too, is I got kind of opportunistic with the relationship where she was so caring and giving and loving. I would often exploit that, and I would sit on the couch and I would say, hey Shaina, do you want to run and grab me a soda? How long do you think it'll take? I'll time you. And she'd say, okay, and she'd get all ready and she'd run and I'd stop counting and she'd come back and I'd say, oh, 14 seconds, you just missed your record by 1 second. Let's see if you can go get me a bag of chips and beat it. And so I should cut off and do it again. And then that's just kind of how Shaina was. She was always willing to do anything for anybody. And she didn't need to be tricked like I was tricking her to time her and things like that. I mean, she was so caring and loving. And as I got older, I wanted to help her. I said, hey, maybe you should move out of Nevada County. You could come down to LA, or I was always talking to her about going to school and what she wanted to do, and she would say, well, Jared, well, she'd call me brother, but she would say, I don't know what I want to do. I always want to be a veterinarian, or I want to be an architect, or she loved art, she loved all the classes she took, and I would kind of say, well, Shaina, you just got to pick something and go with it. I picked the military, I went with that. I'm picking this, and I'm running with that, and I think over the last couple months, my mom and I kind of realized that I think Shaina and I were very different in the sense where I unfortunately didn't really have anything that I'm like super passionate about. So I would pick something and I would go do it. But I think that Shaina was so passionate about so many different things that she couldn't settle on one thing. She couldn't go be a veterinarian because she loved architecture so much and she wouldn't want to give up on that dream. And she loved this county so much, and she loved the people so much, and for that, I mean, she was the most passionate, loving person, and that's kind of why we tried to set up this memorial fund for her, and my passion going forward is to make sure that those things that Shaina cared so much about, that they're not forgotten, and that I do whatever I can do to help honor her and support her dreams, and. I loved her with all my heart, and this is a celebration of life, and I think we should try and be as happy as we can, and she would have wanted us to. What would Shaina do? She would want us to be happy.
What would Shaina do?
She wants us to have a good time. She wants us to tell good stories, and And I just encourage everybody to try and share those stories. And for my mom, there's a book and there's some cards that people can take them home and write down a story about Shaina and mail them back, because we're going to need that going forward. So thank you guys so much, and I think I'm going to turn it back over